Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A lot of us grew up watching the animated series and a lot of the movies during the late 80s and early 90s. Today, in this episode of Chat Stew, we're going to talk about the best movies and animated series and also the worst coming up next. Hey guys, welcome back to Chat Stew. I'm Joe, and today I have a special guest with me, Mr. Hope. And the reason he's joining me today is he is a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, and I thought if anybody was qualified to talk about the Turtles and all of the films and animated series and movies that have come out, it was going to be this guy. So today we're going to talk about sort of the history of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know, what was good about some of the movies, what was not so good about some of the other ones, and what we enjoyed about, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, so like I mentioned before, I mean, over the past couple of decades, there's been numerous Ninja Turtle cartoons and movies, whether they be live action, animated, CGI animated and all that kind of thing. Through all of these different films and TV series, the story, is changing a little bit here and there. And some of the things you might remember about one might not carry over to the other one. I mean, let's kind of start at the beginning from how we remember it. Hope, I mean, who are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and kind of what's their origin story for anybody who doesn't know? I mean, you should know, but if you don't, what's kind of their deal? Who are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, like I was literally 10 years old when I first laid eyes on the Ninja Turtles concept, and like literally from that point on I was hooked, you know what I'm saying? Like just the concept of four individual brothers with four different personalities coming together to, accomplish what they, all of the things that they encountered. And then here they got this rat that is like teaching them. Just when I understood that concept, when I first was introduced to it, I'm like, God, I knew like right then, I'm like, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life watching this stuff right here. It was just crazy. The original concept that I'm used to is, here you have Master Yoshi, well at the time, Hamato Yoshi, and he was a Shidoshi of a clan back in Japan. Shredder, Rokusaki kind of like came and just like sabotaged him, made him look bad. So he got kicked out of his little clan and ran to America, and lived in the sewer, ran across some turtles, and the rats was his friends. So he ran across some turtles one day and became like their dad. That was pretty much his only livelihood. And then, one day he comes back home, and then they're crawling in this green stuff, and
down in the sewers.
Down in the sewers, and from that point on, they just started to mutate, and he had to like kind of just like, he didn't know anything better except for to teach them what he knew, because he knew that they would be different on the streets and people would call them freaks. So they had to like, like defend themselves, But
and then he ends up mutating too, because as he was getting them out of this green ooze, he got it on himself. It's like some kind of weird chemical that you don't figure out what it is until way later, but it causes them to mutate, and he ends up mutating into like a giant rat, kind of rat human.
Because the rat was the last thing that he touched, and then the humans was the last thing that the turtles touched, which was Yoshi. So it was just caused them to turn into whatever you touched last. So that concept originally came from like something. If you remember, like there was a Daredevil comic book in the ooze in the Daredevil origin story. Pretty much did the same thing. So the creators literally like took that same concept and was like, let's do that with this concept. I think that was that's the dopest concept to me.
Yeah, and it started off as a comic book. The comic or the graphic novel came out in 1984, and it was like a black and white graphic novel, and that's kind of the origin stories. And then later,
I remember that.
You remember that?
Remember it. Huh?
You remember the actual graphic novel?
I remember seeing the comic book and just not knowing what it was. And like literally like a year or two later is when I started to see the actual cartoon. Actually it was the toys first. The fact is they created the toy before they even came out with the cartoon.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they needed to make a cartoon in order to promote the toy because the toys wasn't selling. They're like, nobody knows what these toys are, so we need to like make some kind of story behind it in order to get people, down with the idea.
Yeah, and then in 1987 is when the animated series came out. That's when I got introduced to it, watching that cartoon on TV. Would come on. Did it come on daily? I don't remember.
Nope, it was like a Saturday morning kind of thing. And I think, to be honest, I've seen the movie before I was introduced to the cartoon. If I remember right, I think that's what it was.
So you didn't grow up watching the cartoon?
I did. But by the time I seen the movie, I was still pretty young, and the movie made me want to see the cartoon. And it was crazy. It made me want to watch it.
So the cartoon was pretty good. I remember it being, really entertaining. Obviously, it follows that same origin story. The main villain is Shredder, who is Master Splinter, the teacher of the Turtles, is his arch enemy, and he comes to the same city and forms a criminal underworld call, and he teaches his own.
He brought it from back in Japan. He created it in Japan. He kind of took over Yoshi's little clan, which was a good clan, but then he took over and it became evil. So he's like, let's bring this over to America, you know what I'm saying? And it just happened to be in New York, exactly where Yoshi came, you know what I'm saying? It was like living in the sewers.
And it was the Foot Clan?
The Foot Clan, yes.
Yeah. And so they're running around, doing crimes and doing everything in New York. And then Splinter decides it's time for his boys to step up and defend the city. But, you guys got to remain in the shadows because you don't want to have people see you and find out who you are, because obviously they're mutants. So there was a bunch of that in the cartoon. They introduced a bunch of characters. We won't get into all of them right now that do show up in some of the movies and some of the other shows and things like that as we progress through the history of it. Then the first live action movie was 1988. And I remember that being a really big deal to go watch that. The dudes in like the little rubber suits and with the mechanical faces and stuff. And at the time, it was really good. I was younger, but I thought it was good. They had good martial arts in it, good fighting, good action. They also run into, there's a reporter that's always reporting on the crimes and stuff like that and getting in deep. And I think the Foot Clan starts to come after her because she's asking too many questions. She's getting too close.
She's running her mouth too much. So Shredder's like, hey, go shut her down. Tell her if she doesn't stop reporting about us, making us look bad. Well, I mean, they were bad, but, exposing us, then we're going to have to, come and shut her down. So that's pretty much what happened is they start coming after her. And in the cartoon, she said, yeah, I'm going to stop. Oh my God, I see you guys are taking this pretty serious. I won't report about you guys no more. And they're just like, it's funny because they're like, our boss wants you to stop, reporting this and that. And then she's like, okay, yeah. All right. And then they're like, he doesn't believe you. And I'm like, how do you know he doesn't believe you? You didn't go back and tell him that she said it's cool. They just continue to go after her. So that was where,
the turtles jump in and save her.
Yeah, she ran it down into the sewers trying to like get away from him. And then she just runs into a wall and then they pretty much have her cornered. And as soon as they like start to swing at her, that's right when the turtles come in at the right moment. Like,
of course.
Like I said, I was 8 years old or something when I was introduced to that whole concept. I won't say my age right now, but literally I still watch that almost every day. Like I just watched it today, not because we were gonna shoot this. You know what I'm saying? That's just part of my thing.
Hope and I were family. He's one of my cousins, And but you've always had a problem with like watching shows over and over and over, no matter how
So you know it.
old it is.
So you know it's true.
That's
Yeah,
your,
it's
I
true.
think it's one
The
of your
same episode,
your
same
your
exact episode.
yeah, it's one of
Yeah.
your it's one of your like spiritual mantras when you're eating. Watch old
Yes.
TV shows. What's the other one you used to watch like on a daily basis? The Wayans Brothers, like recorded
Brothers.
tapes of the Wayans Brothers for some reason.
VCR tapes. I had the same VCR tape over 20 years just with the Wayans brothers in it. I still got it. I still have it to this day.
That's a sickness.
Crazy.
That's what that's called. There's a problem.
There's a place you can do that.
There's a place where they can help you with that.
There's numbers. I'm gonna give you a number to call. But yeah,
I'm gonna say
literally,
also. So her name is April O'Neil. So it's
yes.
and she ends up becoming their friend, and she helps them to becomes kind of the voice for them as the news reporter. You just saw her back there, and
yeah, she can go places that the turtles can't go. So that's why they make a good team. You know, they can't go above surface at certain hours, so you know they use her to go and make some things happen. Yeah.
And so out of I will say real quick, out of all the films and movies and stuff, she's definitely my favorite. April O'Neil. She's gonna be my favorite.
The first movie.
The first movie.
Yes. Same here. I totally agree.
Yeah, you know, hopefully, I think that's kind of a hands down thing in them. So.
Right now, mind you, the April O'Neil in Part 3 looks more like the original cartoon kind of, but the April O'Neil in Part 1 just really did her job. You know, it made me more believe that that's definitely April right there. You know, and usually like the first person who you're introduced to, that's usually who you stick with. Once they start changing things, and you're just kind of like,
kind of like
even
the
if the
James
person
Bond thing, whoever you saw first as James Bond is James
right
Bond to you.
Yeah.
So that was again 1990 when that movie came out. That's also a character that was in the original graphic novel, made an appearance in there too, which is Casey Jones. And I think he's probably my favorite like character that wasn't a turtle through all the characters. Yeah. He's kind of like the rebel, hockey mask wearing, hockey stick swinging guy who would fight crime on his own, kind of like a vigilante kind of guy.
Definitely. And yeah, when I saw that movie, like just everything about it was just amazing. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of like blew me away because to see, but like I said, I've seen the movie before I actually seen the cartoons, and it made me go back and watch the cartoons, and I'm like, oh my God, that's just pretty much the same way that the movie was. That they definitely killed it.
What was the second one? So the second live act, they did another live action.
The Secret of the Ooze.
Oh yeah, here it
is. And that pretty much answered a lot of your questions as far as what is this ooze. A lot of people was saying Part 2 is not as good as Part 1, and I don't think sequels. I mean, a lot of times the sequel isn't as best as the first one, but to me on this one, the uniforms, the costumes wasn't as good as Part 1, but the story really continued and, kept my attention.
Yeah, I remember, it wasn't as good, but I really liked, mutants that they had to fight that were, on par with their skill level. Now, why they didn't go with originally, like the cartoon series had Bebop and Rocksteady was the enemies. Mm-hmm. Why they didn't just go with those guys was like, it was some weird like snapping turtle and like a wolf or something like that.
Yeah, but one thing that I've realized a couple of years later is in the original cartoon series, there was Toka and Rezar not before Bebop and Rocksteady, but there was a Toka and Rezar. So they just, with Hollywood or whatever, they just try to,
whatever happened, they chose those two. But Bebop and Rocksteady are the popular.
Right. I don't know why they didn't go with that. And that's why, we'll get to this a little later. That's why I did like the 2000, when Part 2, 2016 or something, when they came out with the Part 2, basically the most recent Ninja Turtles movie, Out of the Shadows. This time they did do the Bebop and Rocksteady concept, and but yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, Secret of the Ooze. It's the little write-up says Turtle Power is back by bodacious demand. The 1991 lingo here. Live action sequel film The Secret of the Ooze is released in 1992. It's lighter in tone and less violent than the first film, but less successful. It was dedicated in memory of Jim Henson. So
yes, Jim Henson passed while he was shooting that. That was actually his last movie.
He shot that?
Huh?
He was shooting the Ninja Turtle movie?
Yes, he died right while he was shooting the Ninja Turtle movie, and they had to continue on without him and just kind of make it work.
I didn't know. That's why. Did he shoot the first one?
Yep, he did part 1, and then he was in the middle of doing part 2.
Oh man, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was crazy. Before that, all we know of Jim Henson was just
big respect, Jim Henson. Well, no, Jim Henson can do some freaky stuff like the Dark Crystal.
Yeah, the
Dark Crystal, the Labyrinth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great movies. So that's for another episode.
Yeah, definitely. They pulled him in knowing that. The thing I like about part 1, the difference between part 1 and part 2, like you said in the write-up, they cleaned up part 2 so much where now it's not so grimy and underground.
It's supposed to be grimy.
It is. Yeah, they were kind of dirty and their masks weren't clean, and it was just, that's what I liked. It was very sewer.
Well, it gave it a little bit more realism. I mean, if you got clean, shiny puppets walking around, it's just like
they're walking around in her apartment cleaning and mopping. It was just like, I didn't really like that.
Nah, it's not for me.
Yeah, but
it was decent. I remember Vanilla Ice had a song in there, "Go Ninja Go" or something like that. Ninja Rap.
Yes, I think that's what saved the movie. I think that's what made it so popular, is because there were millions of people wanted to see Vanilla Ice. He was like one of the hottest artists at the time. All the girls wanted to go and
I did like at the end. Spoiler alert: the Shredder. He's losing the fight, and he ends up taking a dose of the ooze and becoming Super Shredder, and that was super cool to see because you'd only seen it in like drawings and comics and stuff before, and it was really cool to see him become Super Shredder and a new threat to deal with.
Yeah, that movie helped me to before that I didn't like to read. I really didn't like reading books at that age, but they actually came out with a book. It was very detailed. It was pretty thick. And my mom bought me that book because I seen it in the stores, but I read that thing over and over and over and over. And so I'm that kind of helped me to become somebody who could sit down and just read a good story, But but I wanted to go back again real quick about how they cleaned up the part 2. They didn't allow them to use their weapons as much. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of comical stuff. Instead of using weapons, they just found things around them to make comical fighting. You know what I'm saying? The scene where Michelangelo, he was on top at the little deli, and he just grabbed a little sausage and used them as nunchucks. You know what I'm saying? So little things like that. At the time, at the time I followed it. I was young, and I'm like, if this is where they're going with it,
well, I mean,
just kind of had to.
The concept of it's already silly enough. I mean, you need to counteract it with raw grittiness, and I think the graphic novel was R-rated, and they were using language, and it was gritty and raw, blood and cutting people's heads off, and to counterbalance this goofy concept of human turtles walking around.
Yeah, I remember reading in the book, on the movie he says "get them," but in the book it's like "kill them," So I'm like, that was dope. You know what I'm saying?
And then 1993, a couple years later, we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the Turtles in Time or something like that. I remember watching it and just having no interest in it. It wasn't for me. They got a cool new hideout. That's all I really remember. They found they found the underground train stations type of thing.
They found that in part 2. And then in part 3 they were still there. I guess it was somewhat like a couple of years later or something. and they're still friends with April, still friends with Casey Jones. And April goes to a little flea market, and she comes back down to the lair with gifts for them. And one of the gifts happened to be like a magic scepter, and they didn't know what it was, But at the same time, back in the thousands of years ago, they had the scepter back then, and it just happened to go off at the same time, and it like switched them through time,
Yeah,
So that was just kind of.
I think it was stupid. It was like reaching real far.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily like it. I hated the costumes, like everything.
Yeah, the costumes got even worse.
Yeah, because Jim Henson was no longer a part of it, and they had to kind of find someone who could just whip up a quick outfit, sew together some stuff. It was just horrible. Their skin, it looked like they had a skin disease, all those dots all over their skin. It was just horrible. Their mouths weren't the same anymore. Just kind of like, what is this? Turn this crap off, But no, I still followed it. I bought the toys. I love the toys from part 3.
It says
when it comes to the toy.
It says here for Turtles in Time, the third one, time traveling turtles in bad costumes. The third live action sequel sees the turtles off on a time traveling adventure to feudal Japan. Despite much criticism, the film opens at number 1. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I didn't know that either. I know I was in the theater. I definitely wouldn't see it the first day it came out. That was something I had to earn. You know how you just gotta, if you're good at school or do your homework and stuff all week, you can.
That was nice. That was 93. So I'm looking at this little time list here. 97 seems to be the next thing, and it says the Ninja Turtles, the next mutation. And it shows all the pictures. I don't remember it, but it looks horrible. It says wacky turtles and even worse costumes. Among the many things live action TV shows, okay? So it was a live action TV show. Among the many things live action TV shows, the next mutation got wrong was introducing a female turtle named Venus. The show was canceled in 1998. So it was on for like 1 year, and then.
Yeah, and during the time that was
a girl turtle.
A girl turtle. That was around the time.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I did. It came on right after school, right before Power Rangers, and yeah, the female turtle. A lot of people didn't like her, but I actually kind of was digging her style. Like her jokes, she was very funny. Like people didn't really like peep that about her. Everybody just couldn't get past that there's a turtle with breasts and her bandana was braided, but she came over here because she knew how to go and meditate.
Her bandana was braided.
Her bandana was all braided up. It was hard to follow, but she had a special power that the other turtles didn't have, so that's why she came, because Master Splinter, he went into this thing where he went in a coma and was in a whole other dimension, and she was the only one who knew how to go there, and so she had to come and teach the turtles how to meditate together in order to go save him, to wake him up from this other realm dimension.
Didn't that happen in the first live action movie, Around the Fire?
They stopped practicing it, so she came to help them to get back on that level. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. I don't know, Hope. It took me a while to like the next mutation, but I eventually went and got the DVDs, and just that became a part of my routine, is just watching that. And the reason I liked it, the next mutation, is because it was the only thing that brings you way back to the feeling of part 1. It was all in the sewer. It was very dark. It was dirty. It was, you know what I'm saying? You finally saw Master Splinter fight. He came out and fought and saved Raphael on episode 1.
From the little pictures I'm watching or looking at, the costumes look even more horrible and horrendous.
In part 3, they're pretty bad. Trust me, they're pretty bad. But they also touch on a couple stories that you didn't know about the turtles, and you're like, well, just the concept of it is good. The visual, not so good, but the concept of it, I like that.
So then, Loose and Forward. There was another animated series just called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Looks good. I don't remember watching that. It was from 2003, ran all the way till 2009.
Yeah,
It said it's a much darker tone and more faithful to the Mirage comics than the original 80s cartoon. So,
which is true. They didn't look so corny or like so, goofy like they did in the original, but that's kind of what
there were
used to.
teenagers, so it's like they're pretty much like partying, horny, like ninja teenagers, basically. So they're always perving out on April in the original story and stuff like that, and trying to get some.
Yeah, I like it. I didn't really get into it. The one that we're talking about from 2003 to 2009. Didn't really get into it. Well, like I said, once you start changing up a lot of stuff, and then it just kind of I lose interest. Even though I love the Turtles, there's just a lot of stuff I just didn't follow. Once it progressed forward, and then they sold it to Nickelodeon. I'm sure that's what we're about to get into next. Once they sold the whole concept to Nickelodeon.
The next one, 2007, is just called TMNT, and it's like a computer-generated movie. Yeah. I do remember watching that and thinking that it was pretty okay. For me, I hadn't seen any turtle stuff in years and years, and then watching that, I remember going, "Oh, you know what? That's for coming back after so long." And then the animation was good; it looked good. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I for sure I owned it and watched it a number of times. It wasn't one of my favorite. Because I think it's a concept where once you start unlocking monsters from different worlds and all of that type of stuff, I just don't really. I'm like, that's just not what the Turtles really were about back then. That kind of stuff wasn't happening.
The story even in the from the 80s eventually got there, like with the whole Krang and Brain. What was his name? Right. Krang. There he is, right there. Tetradome or something like that. And it ended up, other dimensions opened up, and there was this alien trying to like take over and stuff like that. And I didn't really like that as much as the just having Shredder be the enemy, but it wasn't that bad. Not my favorite, but so I think that like you were saying, this animated one got a little bit more into some of those monsters and different dimensions and things like that. Then it looks like we had it's 2009 Turtles Forever. Don't remember this, but it says because 4 turtles aren't enough, this made-for-TV film is a love letter to the fans that brings together 3 different incarnations of the Turtles in celebration of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You should check that out.
25th anniversary.
I thought that was something.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it was hard to get. It was hard to kind of get it at first when I first watched it, but then after a while, I'm like, that's actually dope. They all met through, the old '80s Turtles, and then you had the newer Turtles, and then the Turtles that was in between that. They all they all met each other and kind of.
So it was like the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I haven't seen that Spider-Verse, but I do know what you're talking about though. It's just but
You need to go through and watch all those Marvel movies, man. You're super behind on that. You remember how you never really got into Star Wars growing up?
Star Wars,
boo. Everyone, come on, boo.
Yeah, and then
I told you how great it was. Watch it in this order. And then now, what do you think of Star Wars?
Oh God. I just can't get over it. It's the same. It's like the Turtles, that same feeling. Like this stuff is dope. When you just got to understand the concept. When I was growing up, every once in a while you just see the TV and it's just ships in the space, and I'm just like, this is crap. I didn't really care, But once you get older and you can kind of like break down the concept and understand who the characters were that you've been watching for years, you're just like, oh my God, I had no clue that this was like.
Right, you'll have that much fun going through the Marvel universe. So you need to get on that. I'll have to probably put it together for you so you can watch them correctly. So back to the Turtles.
Yes.
Yeah. So Teenage Mutant or Turtles Forever, I guess, is like a Spider-Verse where you have all these different versions of the Turtles meeting. I don't know. That's what Hope says. I have never seen it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll check it out at some point. Um, then there was in 2011 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, some kind of another graphic novel that was after it was sold to Nickelodeon in 2009. And then on some other, I don't know, what is this? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles called it, same thing. 2012, it looks like a CG thing. The Turtles make their highly anticipated return to TV, again, for the fourth time.
Yeah.
This time, younger, hipper 3D animated Nickelodeon show.
Didn't like it, didn't watch one episode, don't care.
This is the one. This is the TV one I remember. This one here.
That's the one I know right there behind you. So I went like about a good couple of years without really focusing or caring or watching the Ninja Turtles. And then one day in 2014, I'm just sitting down watching TV and this trailer comes on and they're like, the Ninja Turtles, and it was just a whole different look. Apparently they sold, it was still Nickelodeon, Michael Bay or something. So what happened was everything just looked different, and it looked like the original story again, like they were recreating it to tell it again, the original story that we know. They just recreated it, and I said, "Oh my God, this must be." I have to watch it. Like I couldn't wait until it came out. I like literally stayed in the house a lot of times. Like, no, I'm not going out. I'm just gonna wait until the Turtles come, because I wanted to make sure that I was gonna be around to actually see it. It was crazy.
Yeah, and then you get the Michael Bay thing is he did those two live action CGI movies that came. I don't know, when did those come out? Those aren't on my list. I think
2014, and then again in 2016 or 17.
16 or 17.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I
loved it.
I know you loved it. I don't know. I thought
why I loved it?
Why is that?
Real quick, I'll tell you, is because it's for the first time you remember in the first original movie, they show the Turtles when they're like this big trying to walk around and get their first word out. And they're like, pizza, but on this one, they showed more of it. So there are these little baby turtles with no mask on, no type of weapons or anything. They're just like
and stuff like that. And
exactly, and that was just the dopest thing I've ever seen. Like they're underground, and then it shows them Splinter. He finds this ninjutsu book in the garbage, or in the rubble, and he just like picks it up, and he has the idea like, I'm going to teach this to them. So he studied it first, and then he, taught them everything he knows. So it was just showing all their mistakes and how they just wasn't taking it serious at first, and it progressed into them just getting better, and they were just all of a sudden they were just like masters at it. You know what I'm saying? And he finally gave them their bandanas each, and you know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, I watched that like over, I don't even know, hundreds of times. Just that one sequence of
another bad April O'Neil. What's this girl's name? Megan Fox.
Oh God, Megan Fox. Yeah.
And
I didn't like it. I still don't like it.
She's a nice bit of eye candy, but her acting skills, in my opinion, are just like not there. And then when you watch, what makes it worse to me is when you watch movies that have a cult following, and you can tell, and then someone is cast as a major role, and you can tell that they don't care about the project. They don't know anything about the project. I remember watching like an interview of her trying to promote the movie, and she's like, yeah, I've been, spending a lot of time, learning from Raphael, who's the leader of the Ninja Turtles. And you're like, what?
It's funny. But
they end up being her pets in the beginning or something like that.
I didn't like that. I was like, I don't know why they did that. They used to be her pets when they, she used to work in the lab with her dad, and they were just doing experiments on the pets and stuff like that, and she named them and used to feed them pizza, and then the lab caught on fire, and then she saved them, and they just threw them down in the sewer. And, you know, and then they just grew and she ran back into them years later. Bull crap. But anyway. No,
Bull crap.
Didn't like it, but I also knew, okay, let me just follow this just to see where it goes. So I did have to put myself in a position where I could say, okay, I'm with it. I'm following it. Let's just see where they're going with this. You know, so it was crazy. But did you know that Raphael and Leo, they compete to be the leader? There are some stories where Raphael is the leader, you know what I'm saying? And then they were trying to make him into the leader, but nope, stick with the original. Leonardo leads. Raphael is cool, but rude.
Yeah. Donatello does machines.
Yes.
Raphael is cool, but rude. Michelangelo is a party dude.
Yes, that's all. Just leave it there. Don't change it.
There's
God.
Michelangelo.
Yes.
Yeah, so, and then they came up with the second one, which you get excited. You're like, okay, I want to give it another try because, again, you get Bebop and Rocksteady, which what we were talking about. Here's a chance for them to fight. You're seeing it with new technology, new movie making, CGI. But then it's still weak. And then they put another actor in there that is just not my cup of tea at all. I just don't find him to be a good actor at all. Huh?
Vern the Falcon Fenwick, is that who you're talking about? You know, he's in there. He's in part 1 and part 2.
Nope.
Let's see here. In part two. Oh, the Casey Jones dude.
Nope.
What? Oh God. The other Shredder? You know,
I'll tell you what, I can't remember his character name. I just know his real name.
Oh, is it? Don't tell me he plays the Bebop. He plays Rocksteady?
Maybe he's in both movies, but I don't like him as an actor. That's why I kind of threw a punch and said actress at first. But
okay, what's his character in the movie? Who is he?
He's the scientist.
Oh, Tyler Perry. He's in part 2, not part 1.
Tyler Perry. Baxter, whatever.
No, the only reason, not saying he didn't do a good job. The only reason
he didn't do a good job.
Yeah, but
I'm saying he didn't do a good job.
I think my thing is that his character Baxter Stockman was not black. He was a crazy nerdy, like crazy haired white, dude, and he's just like, he's just I don't know. It definitely wasn't Tyler Perry's character, so I couldn't buy that at all. I really
didn't he turn into like a fly or something later?
Yeah, in the original series, I'm like, why didn't they just do that? You know what I'm saying? Why would you mess up a whole concept? There was Baxter Stockman, and he turned into a fly later in the series. So it bothers me. It just led me to say, okay,
he's not a good. I don't like Tyler Perry.
Yeah, I don't like any of his movies at all. Trust me, there's nothing I support him. Don't get me wrong, support him.
Yeah, it's not for me. Sorry.
But yeah, man. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. Comment down below. What was your favorite movie? Hey, if you see these, you see these right here.
Yeah, well, I was gonna save this to the end. Now, obviously, there's 4 Ninja Turtles. There's Leonardo.
Yep.
Donatello.
Yep.
Raphael and Michelangelo.
Yes.
Donatello rocking the blue. I'm sorry, Leonardo rocking the blue. Donatello rocking purple. Raphael's red. And Michelangelo rocking the orange bandana or headband.
Yes.
So we've been doing this video, and I'm seeing 3 turtles there.
Yes.
Now, what's the deal with that? Where's Michelangelo?
Michelangelo is actually not here. Michelangelo, I don't know if anybody...
Is this a spoiler alert?
It not really, because it's out there. It's really out there right now. And to be honest, I learned
in the turtle community, if you were a fan of turtles and followed what's coming out, you would know about it.
Yes, okay. Exactly.
Because I don't know about it because I don't follow it like that.
You probably would say, okay, I know why Michelangelo is not there, and then I do it backwards. Technically, I should have Michelangelo being the only one here and these 3 gone, but I do it backwards. These are the 3 fallen turtles. These 3 turtles are no longer alive. Now, that just bothered me. I just didn't understand that concept. when I first learned that concept, like I literally didn't go outside for the whole day. I canceled all my plans. Like, why would they do that? So the writers pretty much
died?
killed off 3 turtles. Yeah, they killed off 3 turtles. And I'm like, the writers did that? Why would they do that? Like, I could see it was just some random dude wanted to twist up the story and he did that. But no, the creators of the Turtles approved it, and that's kind of what the way that they wanted the story to go. Not really sure what direction they're trying to go with it, but Michelangelo is the only alive turtle right now, and he has to avenge their death, and I don't know what they're gonna do. So I'm literally hanging on to like follow the story because I'm like, this better be good. I'm like, they're gonna come back. You know what I'm saying? Kind of the same way that some people are just like waiting on Jesus to come back one day. Like, I literally am not waiting on them to come back because I'm like, that can't be true.
You're waiting for the turtles to come back.
I'm waiting for the turtles to come back. I don't know when that'll be, but I know they're coming back. Like, there's no way they just dead.
So, how did they die?
That's what I'm not gonna say all of that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'll tell people. Hey, if you're interested in trying to figure out the story, it's definitely out there. From what I understand, they're just writing it as a book. It's not going to be a movie. You have to go and just play. It's going to be a comic book, pretty much the old style, the way the original comic books were made and everything. So if you want to follow the story, you have to go and check out the book. It's out there somewhere. It's definitely researchable, all the information. But I did my research. I pretty much spent that whole day. Like I said, I shut my whole plans down, and I'm like, I gotta figure this out because that can't be true at all. I was on Facebook one day, that's when I seen it. Scrolling down Facebook and I saw one turtle rocking all of their headbands, but they weren't here. All their headbands was here on him. And he also had all of their weapons. So I'm like, damn, one turtle with the sai, the swords, you know what I'm saying? The bow and the nunchucks. I'm like, what's going on here? So I had to go straight to YouTube and Google, and they're like, it's true. The turtles are dead. What? What? Yeah, blew me away. I can't even spend a lot of time thinking about it. But on a brighter note, I just wanted to say, like, when it comes to the Turtles, like, I can't watch Ninja Turtles without pizza, and I can't eat pizza without watching the Ninja Turtles. Like, that's just been that way for over 30 something years, man. Like,
yeah, you have a problem. Yeah,
they go hand in hand. They go together. You just can't do one without. It's over.
My goodness. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to say, if I had to pick a favorite animated and live action, definitely my favorite animated was the original cartoon series, even though I was impressed with the 2007 version where it was the first time I seen it in CGI. That is cool because it allows them to do things that you can't do in the movie sometimes, like cooler moves and things, like that, with weapons and things like that. And definitely the very first Ninja Turtle movie is definitely my favorite live action, even over the newer ones, even though the newer ones look cool and you get some more story and stuff like that.
Right. I strongly agree with you. All the original part 1 cartoon, original series, part 1 of everything, the original. Yes, I get it. I think all of that newer stuff, when Michael Bay got a hold of it, like I said, the storyline is okay, but it was just too much of the trends, with the transformer sounds and all this flipping, and it was just a little bit too much for me.
The rockets coming and they like flip over it and then do the thing, and then Michael Bay.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna do. What else are you gonna do? So, yeah. I literally would be happy if they just came up with a brand new Turtles movie and it was just back to the original men in rubber suits. You know what I'm saying? It was just jump and then straight
gritty and raw and like filmed raw and dark and like a lot of violence and stuff like that and
blood. Yeah, that's what they need. If I ever become a millionaire, I'm gonna buy the rights to just create my own story, and
we need blood in Turtle
movie. Yes. And all 4 turtles will be back, I'm
gonna have to, the newer ones, like you said, is a little bit of overkill, but I'm gonna probably give them a rewatch I'll try to suffer through Megan Fox's performance, but but the story wasn't all that bad. They were kind of interesting, so I'll have to it's worth a rewatch. I'll give it a second try.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, you know what? I feel like they should bring Zach in. I don't know if anybody remember who Zach was, you know what I'm saying? They should bring him in to the movies. Like, I think that'd be something, because he was a huge part of the original cartoon. Anybody who don't know who Zach was, just this little kid who just happened to see them one day, you know, doing their thing, and he's like, oh my God, the Ninja Turtles are really real. And he just wanted to be them so bad that he went and got his little mask and tried to create a shell out of a garbage can top, and he just really wanted to be down with them, and he would like help them out at certain times like that. So I'm like, that's dope, man. It gave him a lot of hope that he could like really be something, because they was like, you know, they was it at that time.
So yeah, that was a little bit about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles history of the films and the animated series and all the projects that have come out over the years, and sort of what we thought about them. As far as if they were good or they were bad. We want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. What was your favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie or animated series? And what was the worst? Let's see if you agree with us or me. I think that there are some pretty bad ones. This guy over here, he just loves all of that crap. Doesn't care how bad it gets. He's gonna stick by it.
Yep, boys, man.
Yeah. So again, leave your thoughts down below. We want to hear those. And that's going to wrap up this episode of Chat Stew. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what we're doing, and hit that notifications bell. And I'm Joe. This is my special guest and family good friend, Mr. Hope. And we'll see you next time.
MC Mikey. MC Ricky. Ricky, next.